Hey everyone, my name's Walter and we're back here with more stories from Reddit. Am I the Asshole is the place where you can ask who is right and who's wrong in any given non-violent real-life situation. Or you could just make shit up for karma, I guess. Anyway, let's get started with stories from Reddit. Am I the Asshole? We deal with a lot of men who are insecure about their partner's history, so let's see it happening with a woman. Girlfriend, 24 female, is giving me, 24 male, a hard time because 3 of my exes are/were overweight. My girlfriend and I have been dating about 8 months. We have talked about past relationships a bit, but not extensively. A few nights ago, I'm not sure how, but we were on the subject, and I ended up on Facebook showing a few pictures of the girls I have been with. Yeah, what could possibly go wrong with that? In the second half of high school, I spent 1.5 years dating a girl. We'll call her Girl 1. Girl 1 was a tad bulkier, not obese, not fat, just slightly larger. I am a pretty standard build, an average weight for a guy. Her being a bit bigger than me was not remotely an issue. I thought she was beautiful and we had a strong connection and relationship. We never had true sex and didn't get extremely far in that department because we were both beginners. We broke up a bit before graduating. She has lost a lot of weight in her modern pictures and is now average-ish, but there are still pictures deep in her profile with me from back then. My sophomore year of college, I had a friends with benefits / series of hookups over a few months with Girl 2, who was a bit more overweight than Girl 1, but still not too much. We were in the same friend group and got drunk and hooked up one night, and kept that going for a few months. She was not what I would consider relationship material for myself, not because of her size, but she just had a different personality and lifestyle that fit more into a friend status, plus she was 2 years older than me. That ended when she graduated. She looks the same in her pictures. Girl 3 was a random 2-time hookup, also in my sophomore year of college. Didn't go anywhere, so I wouldn't really even call her an ex or anything. She was not overweight at the time, but has since gained a fair amount. I'm not trying to fat shame or anything. There have been a few other ladies I have dated / been with before my current girlfriend that are generally standard and would not be considered overweight or anything. There was nothing sexually attractive about being with these 3 girls who were specifically larger than me. It just was what it was. I never felt embarrassed to be with them either. I thought they were all great, and I got what I was looking for at the time from being with them. While my girlfriend and I were casually browsing these pictures of the girls, she didn't say too much, but after we were done she started making a few comments about me liking fat girls and all that. I said it wasn't about that, and that was kind of mean of her to say. She dropped it then, but has since made a few other comments. For example, the other night I recommended something for dinner that wasn't super healthy, and she asked if I was trying to fatten her up, and if I would like her better like that. She is average sized, but has in the past expressed concerns about her own weight, so I'm not sure if she's just being insecure and is worried that I only like her because she's fat, she's not though, or if she's trying to kink shame me, even though it wasn't about that, or what. I have never felt bad about being with these girls in the past, but now I am feeling embarrassed like I was doing something wrong, creating an uncomfortable situation. What can I do here to either alleviate her concerns about her own weight, or get her to not make hurtful comments about the people I've been with in the past? My ex-wife was super skinny and fit when we met. She then, like a lot of people, gained weight while we were dating. Noticeably gained weight. We got married, got divorced. My girlfriend made a number of insulting comments directed at me for marrying a fat chick. Anyway, I had enough, told her to drop it. I can tell you I'm pretty sure it was because she's insecure about gaining a little weight over the last few years. While we moved on from that subject, it does stick in my mind. Besides the fact there is zero reason to insult the physical appearance of anyone, it has always stuck with me, just a bit, that someone could be so ruthless to a person they know nothing about. Yeah, I tend to not have bad blood with my exes, and if I do, I definitely have better complaints about them than their weight. Don't think I'd put up with too much of this crap. Why were you both looking at pictures of your exes in the first place? The past is the past. Looking up these kind of things is like asking for trouble in my opinion. It definitely is. I could make a whole video of stories like this one. Am I the asshole for kicking out my stepkids within a week of my wife passing away? I do not want sympathy. She is in a better place. My wife went into hospice the day after Christmas. She passed away before New Year's. Before that, I was taking care of her with help from an in-home care nurse. My wife used to participate in triathlons. She was a beautiful, muscular brute. I don't know what she saw in me, but I'm grateful for whatever it was. She weighed just over 90 pounds when she went into hospice. Sorry, I guess that isn't relevant. I just want people to know how awesome she was and how awful it was at the end. Her kids lived in the house with us and didn't help. They are young adults, 23 and 25. My sister would drive from her town across the city to help cook and clean. She has her own family and a full-time job, and she did that for her best friend and her brother. My stepkids just made more work for us. They ate food that people from the church brought for us. Then they would leave the casserole out instead of putting the leftovers in the fridge. One time my dog got into it, and I spent 3 hours cleaning dog diarrhea up instead of being with Danny. I fucking hate them for those 3 hours. I've known the kids for 10 years. They were good kids. I moved in with Danny a year after we met. We got married a year later. Second marriage for her. First and only for me, I think. Her ex has systematically screwed her over. She got the house in the divorce. She said she wanted the kids to have stability. Her ex had taken out home equity loans before the divorce. She knew about them but was blindsided by the divorce. Sorry, I'm rambling. Long story short, I sold my condo when we got married and used the money to pay off the house in full. Since there was zero equity, I basically bought the house. Now that she is gone, I don't want to be there anymore. So I sold it. I bought a condo in the Ice District. That's a neighborhood by the hockey arena in my city. I'd been considering it since we knew the inevitable was coming. I was going to keep the house for the kids though. Their behavior during her illness made me reconsider. A few people, including the kids, people from our church, and her ex have called me heartless for kicking them out of their home right after their mother passed away. I'm so numb these days, I don't care. My sister says that I'm in the right, but she would say that if I committed genocide. She is hardcore ride or die. She suggested I post here anonymously to get unbiased opinions. I will try my best to answer any questions you ask. I don't really know how this works. I've been asked to edit in that I sold the house the week their mom died, but they do not have to move out until May. Yeah, it also comes up that they can move in with their biological father, so this isn't exactly making them homeless. Even more importantly, this. They have jobs. They both graduated from university, but no, they could not afford the house. Not unless I basically gave it to them. It sounds like they'll be fine, at least as far as having somewhere to live. Still a sad story, though. Am I the asshole for telling a friend I did not want her to join my date and I for dinner? I, 26 female, have a friend, 25 female, who I met in college, and although losing touch for a bit after college, I moved to the same town as her 6 months ago for work, and we've hung out quite a bit since then. I have kind of integrated into her friend group, 5 other girls not including us, although I'm not as close with them as they are with each other, which makes sense seeing as how they've known each other a bit longer. I was recently on a first date with a woman I've liked for a bit, 27 female. We were having coffee at a cafe and all of a sudden my friend walks up to us and says hi. Not a big deal, I know she comes here a lot and I introduced them. My friend is super nice to my date. At this point I hadn't told my friend this was a date. She knows I've dated women in the past, but I wasn't expecting her to realize this was a date because it could very well have just been a friend. Then she asks if she can join us and starts to pull up a chair. My date is visibly thrown off by this, as am I, and so I say, "Oh, I'm sorry, but date's name and I are on a date right now. I'll see you later though." My friend says, "Oh, I don't mind," and sits. I reiterate more clearly, I'd love to hang out another time, but right now I'd like for it to just be date's name and I. She says okay and leaves. I thought that was the end of it. Not at all a big deal. I don't expect her to automatically know who I am or am not on a date with. I get a call from a different girl in the friend group that night who tells me that my friend called her and was pissed off about earlier, so I immediately call my friend and ask if we can talk. She says it was rude of me to brush her off. It wouldn't have been a big deal to join us, and her other gay friend lets her hang out with him and his boyfriend all the time. This friend is not part of the friend group. I have never met him. This gets to me a little because I feel like the two situations are only being compared because her friend and I are both not straight. I tell her that because it was a date, it's different and that she can't expect to join me on a first date. She keeps arguing and finally I get fed up and snap at her. Be fucking honest, if I was on a date with a guy, he would have taken no for an answer and not had a problem, and then hung up. She has not talked to me since then, but she told the entire friend group and they are now split. I know this because the friend who first told me that she was pissed off as well as the one other girl who messaged me individually to let me know what was going on and that they're sorry about what happened. The messages from the people on my friend's, or maybe former friend, I don't know, side are making me second guess myself. I do get that I snapped at her on the phone and was rude at the end of our conversation. I don't think I'm wrong for not wanting her to join us, but am I the asshole for the way I behaved at the end of our convo? Edit/update. Okay, so the two girls who reached out and sided with me just let me know that in the last few hours, she's been saying stuff that pretty heavily implies that I'm not actually bisexual and I'm just straight. So I guess that explains a lot of it. They obviously were not okay with it, as one of the girls is bisexual and has a boyfriend. They both left the group chat and still want to be friends with me. The other people in our group chat have said nothing to me, and honestly I don't need the drama. It sucks to realize a friend of mine felt this way about me for years, but I'm glad I at least know what was up now. Not the asshole. I can't imagine the level of obliviousness it must take to respond to, "We're on a date actually," with "I don't mind." And you're right, I don't think she'd have tried this if you were on a date with a guy. And it's nothing like hanging out with an established couple. You were on a first/early date with a new love interest. To be fair, I don't really blame her for the first part of the story. It's totally fine to be oblivious, and I can also be super oblivious about stuff. But I'm glad to see the general consensus is that I wasn't wrong about her not being pissed about this had I been on a date with a guy. Thank you for the response, I appreciate it, and everyone's comments are making me feel a bit more confident in my actions. So she thinks the OP is lying about being on a date to get her to go away? It's a weird assumption, but even if she was, sometimes people like privacy. The OP did say the date went well aside from that, by the way. Okay, how about one more story? I need a wedding one in each video, I think. Am I the asshole for not asking my father to walk me down the aisle? Throwaway for personal reasons. I, 27 female, am engaged, planning to get married to my partner, 30 female, of 3 years next year. Since I came out as bi when I was 15, my dad hasn't been supportive of me. He was upset when I first told him about my fiancé and has made it clear he doesn't approve of me being with a woman. He's very distant when I take her to my parents' home for dinner, won't talk to her when making conversation at the dinner table. When my fiancé isn't around, he's made a lot of subtle, cutting comments about her/our relationship, despite me telling him to back off. He makes it very clear in general that he doesn't see her as family. Basically, he's been casually homophobic my entire life. You know the type. He's not providing any financial support for the wedding, and when I asked if he would actually be attending the wedding, he just gave me a snide, "We'll see," so I honestly wasn't even expecting he would turn up. Part of our intended wedding ceremony will involve me being walked down the aisle and given away. I enjoy a lot of the classic wedding traditions, and that's one I really want to carry out. I assumed my dad wouldn't want to walk me down the aisle. To be honest, I don't want him to either, so I asked a male friend, 58 male, instead, 1 week ago. This man has known me for almost half my life. He's like a mentor to me, and honestly has been more of a father figure to me than my actual dad has. I love him like a paternal figure. We met when I was 16. He was teaching an acting class I signed up for. We both work in theater. He's provided a lot of emotional support over the years, and been openly supportive of my relationship, from the start. He has 2 sons around my age, and has said that he sees me a bit like the daughter he never had. He said he'd be honored to give me away. My dad learned of this fact recently. I'm not sure how. He's furious. He says I'm undermining his authority as a parent and making him look like an asshole/fool to everyone who attends the wedding, and if I insist on going through with this, he won't attend at all. There's no way he's going to sit at a table and watch some other man give me away. He's pissed I didn't ask him. After he said that, I asked if he would have said yes. He dodged the question and yelled at me, and eventually hung up on me. I admit I didn't consider asking him, and I honestly didn't see the need to. I guess it'll be embarrassing for my dad if he comes, but considering his behavior towards me and my fiancé over the course of our relationship, I don't feel like he's justified to make this demand. Am I the asshole for not asking my actual dad to walk me down the aisle? I understand that. It saddens me a little because he is, after all, still my dad, and I wish we had gotten a relationship where he would be willing to walk me down the aisle, but at this point I just want to focus on my future with my fiancé. I am learning to live with the thought that he will choose to not be a part of my life. Thank you for the judgment. It's actually not on purpose that both of these stories were about bisexual women, but I guess that's just the nature of quantum mechanics. And get this, an entire 3 years later, we got a random update on the story that no one was probably expecting. Enjoy. Hi, am I the asshole? I posted here 3 years ago. This update is obviously long overdue, but things have been intense the past few years, so I forgot about this account for a long time. I remembered it while browsing some other subreddits and thought I would share my update because things are better than I ever thought they could be back in 2020. So COVID obviously scuppered our wedding plans. It was meant to be in January 2021, but by that time our country still wasn't in stable enough condition to throw the big wedding with friends and family we wanted. I also lost my job because the company closed, so we wanted to watch our budget. My dad got COVID early in the pandemic, and it was bad enough that he ended up in hospital. Visiting rules were very strict and only my mom could visit him, and they were both actually really scared he might die. He didn't, but it affected him for a long time afterward. He started going back to church when things opened up a bit. Both my parents are Catholic, but my mom was always the more religious one. He was a bit more lapsed. And you guys will not believe this, my wife and I were shocked. That was what made him realize he was a bit of a homophobic asshole? The church he went to is quite progressive and is big on the whole accept everyone exactly as they are, because that is how God made us and only God can judge stuff. And the almost dying from COVID thing apparently gave him a different outlook on things. Cut a long story short, we started seeing each other more. We had a lot of long emotional talks. He slowly started apologizing to me and my wife for being an asshole, including the wedding thing, and we are now closer than we have been since I was a teenager. Both he and my mentor were at our makeup wedding last year. We ended up making the ceremony a lot less formal than planned, because I guess living through COVID gave us different outlooks too. My wife and I just wanted to have a fun time and not care too much about strict traditions, so we ended up walking down the aisle together while all our family and friends sat and watched and cheered, lol. Things are good. We have dinner with my parents at least once a month, and it's awesome. I found a better job and we're more financially stable now, and thinking about having kids. I'm excited. Thanks Am I the Asshole for the judgments and responses back then, and I guess I want to tell everyone that sometimes things work out even when you don't expect them to. Life can surprise you, so look forward to those surprises. Well, that is about all the time I have for you today. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like the video, please give it a like. If you have something to say about the stories or about my content, let me hear it in the comments. The one with the stepkids getting kicked out actually had tons of people siding against the OP, so I'd imagine I'll hear some of that. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more of the same, and all the other shit I want to talk about. And big thanks finally to my generous patrons who help me by supporting me more directly over on Patreon, and it really helps out. I'll be back very soon with, something. Have a great day, everyone, and try not to be the third wheel on any dates.